Alright, let's talk about these classes, skill trees, and what they look like in my roadmap. So, once again, we have our 8 classes that have unique playstyles that allow players to be different from other players, and you're not just running around an open world with 99 different skills to pick from up to level 50. Spoilers, that's what survival is. So, granted, there's a lot of diversification from in that. Don't get me wrong. Oh, hey, look, if I hover over this, the hitbox actually goes, the highlight box goes down below the line. And above it, too. So that is in my roadmap to fix, just for tidying things up. So these highlight well, though. Alright, so, Warrior. Let's talk about the way that this game feels right now, what I want to do to it, and what I would consider good, bad, and later, or needs to be fixed. Is what I mean by later, as in, well, this will get better later. So, right now, there is not any specific mechanics that require players to do things other than kill stuff. The scout type is great for finding things that you need to find, but for the most part, in order to quote-unquote win the run, is to kill as much as possible and get the ancients down. In the process of killing the ancients, any class can do it by themselves, and you definitely don't need any assistance from other classes. So because of that, that means that there are no specific mechanics that say, yeah, like I need to bring a composition, so you don't have to be worried about compositions. Which, because of that, means that there's technically a overall best class, and the best DPS scenario is going to be 10 of those running in a big group. So that's just the way that it's set up. So 10 of a specific class being the optimal, as you don't need a composition to where it doesn't matter if you have one of each with 2 of some other type. It's like, no, we literally just have 10 berserkers because they do the most damage, and we just clear through stuff super fast. So for actual clearing times, you just pick the one that does the most damage and go. So keeping in mind that damage is the only thing that matters, since there's no reason to build a full defensive class to help tank for your friends and pop this defensive ability all the time. There's not really a need to build like that. This is the only quote-unquote healing. So it's, again, more of a big DPS race, and that's just all that matters, is how much damage you do to get through stuff faster. So let's get into how everybody does damage differently. So you have the Warrior, designed to be kind of a solo, I'm going to take on Jotun by myself kind of guy. His job is going to be, I'm going to use my spells frequently, and I'm going to get a bunch of kills and be able to spam abilities. He's just your standard issue, whack him up, hit him up, I'm gonna kill him kind of guy. So, how do we reinforce that playstyle? Well, let's take a look at our skills. We have trigger a second attack every 2 combo attacks. So that's just an overall do more damage the more damage you do kind of deal. So 1, 2 counts as 3, so you effectively just get an overall increase in your damage per second by roughly 33 to 50%. So it's just good. It's just overall more damage. It is straight out. Not a bad place to start. Also, as a note, once you select a class, you get their opening skill piece, or their opening skill set. Which, alright, cool. That's kind of like the core mechanic, the core foundation for each one of them. So here we have 2 options. A lot of diversification to kick off. You get 2, where you can either go down this way or you can go this way. Well, this way was just added, and harvest resource with combo attacks. Alright, yeah, thematically, that fits. Warrior Gatherer is kind of cool. It's a neat thing to have. The downside to this is you can effectively replace this by spending a small amount of flint and branches, and then you don't have to spend that skill point. So it's a neat thing, but why would I buy that if I can just use resources to cover that exact same mechanic? Especially considering how you have limited skill points and you can't get everything, so your builds are going to be different. And then on top of that too, it doesn't even say how it scales. That's something on my roadmap, is if I were to keep this ability in here, I would actually note that, oh hey, it does scale. Like a gray weapon will scale like a gray pickaxe. A green weapon will scale like a green weapon, a green axe, so on and so forth. And if I could fish with my axe somehow, then yeah, like if the guy does like an axe throwing animation, or does bow fishing, or stabs a sword or spear into the water, or stuns a fish to the surface with the hammer, would be a really funny thing. But it would actually give a very good reason to go this direction, so you don't have to get any of those, and they just scale with your weapons. Would be awesome. But as is right now, I do believe it literally just gives you the same level as gray, regardless of what level of weapon you use. And the fact that you can't get fishing out of it makes it pretty worse too. So that would be in my roadmap of things to patch. Moving on, we have 4th mana bar, so this furthers the right-click or ability use for all of our non-PC users. Do your abilities and do more abilities. So from here we actually can diversify. This is where we can have a variety in our play styles. So we can either go up, we can go to the right, or we can go down. So down is the please don't kill me, right is and I'm good at very specific things, and up is y'all want to see my abilities. So it's a nice balanced tree that goes 3 directions. So let's kick off. So down here we have avoid damage throughout the entire evade roll. Wow, that's really good. That just means it's a skill-based class that as long as I'm dodging, I'm not taking damage. And it makes it even towards less skill-based, so that I just don't take damage through any of the rolls. So as long as I'm okay at rolling, I don't even have to be good at rolling, I'm just okay at timing my roll, and I can evade all the damage. Alright, well, that's incredibly good. Why wouldn't you get that? I mean, you already have it, so I guess if you're skilled enough, you don't need it. But either way, that's definitely makes it much more of a solo class. Don't really need to play anything else. Free fall, avoid damage from falling. Hey, you know what? Anything that skips a mechanic or negates a mechanic in the game, I think is always a good thing, worth looking into. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, I know players, that's more of a play style fix. So, hey, I fall off a bunch or I jump off a bunch. I like to not take damage from doing that. Cool. Especially if the damage was upped, because right now the damage is relatively negligible, even from high heights. So probably would up the damage to make that more enticing. Right now it's not terribly enticing. Self-revive when down very much furthers the solo class. I'm out there doing my own thing. 2 downsides to this that kind of make it feels bad is, 1, you get interrupted anytime you attack. So even if you do go down in the middle of a fight, you're still dead, because you're going to get knocked out. On the off chance that you get hit by a stray explosive mine, or maybe a jar that you didn't see when you're clearing a camp, it's very, very helpful and helps clean up those mistakes. And maybe even when fighting a Jotun, I can see it. If you get hit by a stray Jotun shot that you thought you dodged, somehow you didn't, it helps you get back up. So very forgiving. We're going to ignore these for now. I'm going to come back to all of these durability things at the end, because all the classes have one form or another, and I'll talk about them as a whole. In short, these are new traps. Don't ever pick these up. These are not worth your time, especially the armor one, because your armor does not break. On my roadmap, fine, I'll talk about it now. On my roadmap, these aren't in here. This is an entirely different skill set. Maybe increase the armor stat, but this is my warrior. He should be doing more damage, so maybe a damage stat. But yeah, the durability definitely does not need to be. I've never, in 200 hours played, never broken a piece of armor, ever. So you don't need this. So these are probably never ever picked. I'd be willing to bet. And if they are, why? Why are you picking these? Don't pick these, especially the armor. Those are reworked. Or another way to do it is put in a hardcore mode where it's actually like really tough. You know, having multiple difficulties for Saga could really change a lot of dynamics to where certain builds are no longer viable, and you can't just play for quote-unquote just fun, to where stuff's really hard, where this kind of thing is necessary, because you're just taking hits to the point where your armor has to be on. Coming over here, last damage of combo attack plus 50%, so hey, that's just more DPS, checks out more with the warrior playstyle, so that all looks good. An axe mastery, great, I'm playing with an axe build, so 10% to axes, hammer build, or sword build. Those are the three that you kind of get to pick. If you're playing with spears, you don't get the extra bonus, and you probably shouldn't be playing with spears anyway. And if you're playing with bows, you're doing it wrong, because the only ranger gets to play with bows, because this does not proc for bows. Fun fact. Every second melee attack, so bows don't even work with this guy. So bummer, my dude. Anyhow, moving up. So increased mana earned by 25%. I mean, you just get more mana. You get to use more of your mana bar. It's all about using skills and spamming skills. Big DPS, big mana. Increased mana earned by 50%. I would probably rework the way that these are displayed so it's clear that it's just an extra 25% again, instead of saying 50%, because it's an upgrade to that. I see that it is an upgrade to the Mana Surge 1, but that's doesn't translate super well. It took me a long time to figure out that was actually just another 25% plus onto that, and not 75% total. So this could be translated better, definitely on my roadmap of things that I want to tweak for quality of life. Underdog, feeling surrounded, great. You want to talk about how much damage per enemy? Is it percentage based? Is it flat? Roadmap of things to clarify, just for the friends out there that like doing that. Heated Swap is insanely good. Heated Swap is probably one of the best skills you can get in the entire game. It allows you to play with multiple weapons, and this is the only class that I feel like, in my humble opinion, that you can play with multiple weapons effectively. Other than that, you're playing with one weapon the entire time. I don't know why you'd ever have an offhand. There's no point to, there's no DPS advantage. You might have a secondary for when you don't do damage versus a certain type, but even then, just through raw determination, you're going to get through it. Or just bring a friend that has that type. But yeah, Heated Swap's incredible. You can actually run a full build around Heated Swap, and there's many classes out there that wish they had Heated Swap. So definitely. Fire and Ice Embrace. This pretty much just says, hey, you can play with fire, you can play with ice, for optimal. I think anything that is not using both an Embrace and a Mastery to get to the 30% bonus to your weapon, because again, there's really not a reason to play with more than one weapon at a time. You know, looking through it, you go through the recipes and you just go, hey, I want to use, lightning axes. Well, I know I can get 30% bonus to that. Well, why would I use an axe and a bow? There's no class that would use that. You could use a sword and an axe, but there's not really a reason to. They both just do damage, and they both just do fire damage. I could see a world in which you do plus 10% to just axes, and you have a fire and ice axe, and you can switch between those. Alright, cool. The downside is that you're missing out on 20% to one of those, and you're missing out on 20% to your armor and shield that you're also going to be running with it. So in reality, the most optimal way that it's set up is you run an Embrace plus a Mastery, and you kind of go from there, and run from that. So yeah, that's kind of the theory on that. So with that, again, I would love to see a fully built out chart that allows me to go, I'm going to go ice and hammer, or I'm going to go ice and sword. Right now, warrior's not bad because you can go fire plus any of these three, and if you go ice, you go axe. Having that tree filled out makes it more palpable that you have only 5 total Embraces and Masteries, with the exception of our good friend the Warden that has 6 total Embraces and Masteries. So there's that. Alright, So that's Prone, the Thoughtsome Warrior. It's in a great spot. I think for the most part, filling out the tree is really going to help. A couple of bad picks. This just needs to be reworked and scaled. And these two need to go and get fixed altogether. But for the most part, Warrior's in a really good spot. Well, that's just about going to do it for the Warrior. Thanks for watching this episode in the dissertation series of Banzy's personal roadmap of Tribes of Midgard. Next episode, we'll continue on down the path and see what's going on with that good old friend, the Ranger. A personal favorite of mine, and plenty of hot topics in there, so stay tuned. And as always, drop some comments below, or head on over to the Tribes of Midgard Discord server and send me a message over there, or commentate over there. So, thanks for watching, catch you next time, and don't forget, smack the enemy before they smack you. We'll see you.